What's going on, guys? Suicide Squad, hitting theaters this week. It's about the worst of the worst villains having a big old team up. Well, in honor of that, we decided to determine who is the worst comic book movie villain of all time. And by worst, we mean crappiest. We will determine that right here, right now. And we have an awesome panel of dudes to do that with. First, you know him, he's a writer for Honest Trailers and an all-around swell guy, Joe Starr. Oh, he hasn't been with us for a while, but it's so great to have him back. He's a writer for At Midnight, and he's one of the co-hosts of the Jordan Jesse Go podcast, Jordan Morris.
Hi, Hal.
And I'd love to welcome back a writer from Geek and Sundry, and you also know him from Saving Throw on Twitch, Sax Carr. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. This is a very complicated process, but we wanted to get it right. We created 8 individual divisions. One will move on, and then we will have 8 villains left over to whittle down to one shitty villain to sit atop of the crap heap. Shall we dive in? Are you guys ready?
Ready to dive.
All right, let's move into our first division, the Joel Schumacher Batman division. Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin, Poison Ivy from Batman and Robin, Bane from Batman and Robin, the Riddler from Batman Forever, and Two-Face from Batman Forever.
I actually think we should take Uma Thurman out of the running because I think she is the only one who's kind of good in that movie.
In the same way that you can take Bane out of the running because he's almost a non-starter in that film.
I'm gonna argue for Bane. I like it because he's supposed to be ripped. It's just a fat guy. It's like Bane is not in good shape in that movie.
But I still think that the "Ice to meet you" Schwarzenegger character is so bad.
He only spoke in puns. He was like doing a parody of himself.
Allow me to break the ice.
I do like thinking about what would happen if that movie was popular and they just kept having to make Mr. Freeze movies and him running out of puns, like, I better get a snow job for this.
Gotcha, so...
Let's go Mr. Freeze, yeah.
Okay, looks like Mr. Freeze is moving on. I think it's worth mentioning that Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face was just ridiculous and terrible.
Very bad.
Next up, the Blue Man Group. Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy, Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse, Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, and the Frost Giants from Thor.
Boy, these are some generic ass villains.
Yeah.
These are just some by the books, no thought put into them villains. I kind of like Ronan the Accuser because I just like that naming convention of someone the something.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think Ronan probably sneaks his way out of there. I also think the Frost Giants, they're not terrible because we don't really know them very well. So it's got to be between the other two.
I'm going with Apocalypse from X-Men Apocalypse.
Whoa!
Nothing was sadder than watching Oscar Isaac try to act through a California Raisin costume for that entire movie. I'm giving it to him.
I really, really hated Electro. I think it is a crazy. I mean, maybe not when he's Electro, but when he's the nerd character.
Oh
like
God.
Jamie
When he's
Foxx.
Max Dillon?
Jamie Foxx seems like the only nerd he's seen is in Revenge of the Nerds.
You remember my birthday?
Guys, we're locked up at 1-1 between Apocalypse and Electro. Sax, you're our deciding vote.
Going based entirely on when Electro plays a techno song on the Electro power grid that he's taken over, it's Electro all the way. They ruined that character. He was terrible in that movie.
Electro, the worst of the bloobs, but Oscar Isaac keeps his reputation intact. Ooh, so Electro is from a Spider-Man movie, but he was blue, so he didn't make it into our actual Spider-Man division. The Green Goblin from Amazing Spider-Man 2. Evil Peter Parker from Spider-Man 3. The Lizard from Amazing Spider-Man. Venom from Spider-Man 3. And Rhino from The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I think if you're gonna hand someone a victory based on the least amount of screen time equaling the most movie ruined, the Rhino definitely takes this category because I think he's only on screen for a minute and it's at the end of the movie, but it's exactly where anyone who was still on board jumps off.
Yeah.
So I think the Rhino has this.
I think Evil Peter Parker. My Chemical Romance haircut, jaunty strut down the street, random tango scene.
Yeah, the dance sequence.
Now dig on this.
As ridiculous as Topher Grace as Venom was, and he was ridiculous this camera, I gotta go with Evil Tobey Maguire. In terms of only a little bit of screen time and completely losing trust, like we were arguing with Rhino, I gotta give it to Zoot Suit Toby.
Evil Peter Parker beats out the entire Sinister Six, and he is the worst Spider-Man villain of all time. We have reached, the Superman division. Some call it the Man of Steel division, some call it it's a bird, it's a plane, it's a really division. Okay, Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor from Superman Returns. Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor from Batman v Superman. Evil Superman from Superman 3. Doomsday from Batman v Superman. And Nuclear Man from Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
I'm going to say Nuclear Man is off the table because weirdly I think he's okay. Like, I think for a terrible character, he kind of plays into that movie's energy in a way that you don't hate it.
Also, sweet mullet, so...
Yeah.
He's got the mullet, he's got the fingernails, he looks like he's like a male model from the 80s.
It's made from a piece of Superman's hair being put in the sun. We didn't know any better back then. Those were simpler times. Doomsday was made from Jesse Eisenberg's blood and a pile of goop. So I'm going the Hobbit cave troll. I'm going Doomsday.
Okay, that's one for Doomsday.
You know, I thought, hot take here, I thought the Doomsday bit of BVS was actually kind of cool. I thought it was a good fight. I thought it was a fun way to bring Doomsday into it. I think that Jesse Eisenberg's weird performance was way worse than Doomsday was.
I love it. I love bringing people together. How are we?
You didn't like when he put the candy in the guy's mouth?
You know what? I did like that. That was the one bit that I liked. And it's not all bad, but there's so many cringy moments of that.
I think because one creates the other, you have to give him all the credit to...
Genetically, I think we are all saying this is Eisenberg.
Yeah, this is Eisenberg's doing from day one. And so I think it is definitely Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor.
Well, he might be drinking Granny's peach tea in the finals. Jesse Eisenberg moving on out of the Superman division. Wow. Let's go to the non-blue MCU. That rhymed. Okay. From Thor 2, Malekith, the very forgettable Malekith. From Iron Man 2, Whiplash. From Iron Man 3, the Mandarin. Also from Iron Man 3, the fake Mandarin. And then from the Incredible Hulk, Abomination.
This is a harder one. This is the hardest category. So I kind of want to give the fake Mandarin Ben Kingsley a pass in a weird sort of a think piece counter nerd rage way, in that the internet got so mad at that character that I didn't dislike much. So I kind of want to give it. I'm like, no, he's good.
They tried a thing, but the reveal that it was Guy Pearce with dragon tattoos on his arms ruined it.
Boom. That's one for Guy Pearce. Strong Guy Pearce choice.
Also, buff white guy with Asian dragon tattoos. Come on, man.
I'll back him up on that. That sounds great.
Guy Pearce's Mandarin. The Fox Marvel division. Ooh, let's list this undistinguished group. Emma Frost from X-Men First Class. Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine. Dark Phoenix from X-Men 3. Doctor Doom Fantastic Four 2005. And Doctor Doom from Fantastic Four 2015. Whoo-wee!
You know, I did not see the most recent Fantastic Four.
Good for you,
Because
Well done.
I suspect that one is probably the worst. But of these ones that I've seen, I think I'm going to have to go with the first Ryan Reynolds Deadpool. A real poop fest that they had to mulligan later with a whole other movie.
Yeah, let's make the Merc with a mouth a Merc with no mouth. Yeah.
I actually think that the new Deadpool film coming to existence might have been caused by this terrible Deadpool, in which case I kind of want to give it a pass. Because this was the worst part of an already terrible movie, but if it somehow got Ryan Reynolds unable to sleep at night, and as a result he spent a decade getting the recent Deadpool made, I'm cool with that. I'd be much more interested in throwing it at the most recent Fantastic Four is Doctor Doom.
What was his costume? What was that?
He was a crash test dummy with green ooze coming in.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I'd switch back to your Deadpool of choice if you thought that it was more of a punishment than a redemption.
You know, I slept on this last night, and I'm gonna give this to the new Doom. It was ridiculous.
Boom. We are going new Doctor Doom. The Faceless Swarm division. Ooh, what an intriguing division. Galactus from 2007's Rise of the Silver Surfer. Parallax from Green Lantern. The Chitauri from the Avengers. and the Ultron Army from Avengers 2.
Galactus? I think it's Galactus. I mean, I think we all know it's Galactus.
Sax coming out of the gate very passionate about this. Boom! Galactus makes it in. 2 reps from 2 different Fantastic Four franchises. Wow. Okay, the wild card division. This is our last division before we get to our final 8. Check it out. The wild card division features Super Shredder from TMNT2, The Secret of the Ooze.
Nope, great villain, shouldn't be on here.
Okay. Hector Hammond from Green Lantern, as portrayed by Peter Sarsgaard. Sharon Stone's character from Catwoman. By the way, the only one on here, we just wrote Sharon Stone's character. Like, just the actor's name and character. Deacon Frost from Blade. And Sam Jackson's Octopus from The Spirit.
Ooh.
Ooh. Wow.
I mean, the Octopus is another example of an actor who was not told no, in a movie that was not told no, by a director that was not told no, then an audience of Americans said no. I think the Octopus, just because, honestly, in like total turd burger zone that we're in now, I gotta go for the first thing that I gravitate towards.
And it's just plain ridiculous.
Club Kid Deacon Frost, no chance for Blade. You know, just a guy that sits with his weird blue cigarettes, and I'm giving this to Deacon.
I agree with you that Blade is a great movie. I'm going to say what I think part of what makes Blade so great is Deacon Frost's performance. If for nothing else than for when Blade kills him and then says, some mother always trying to ice skate uphill.
Some mother always trying to ice skate uphill.
The best line in the history of movies. Love Deacon Frost. Love Super Shredder. I don't know why you've seen The Spirit. That's strange. But if it is indeed one of those hammy sketch comedy performances in an otherwise serious movie, then I agree with you. I think that is the worst kind of comic book movie performance. Yes. And I will go for this Samuel L. Jackson performance that I have not seen.
Samuel L. Jackson, welcome to the Final 8. Gentlemen, the Final 8 is set. Let's decide the first matchup. Mr. Freeze versus Electro.
Sorry, I think you have to go Electro as the worst because I think there's still some sort of strange, they use too much pun charm on Mr. Freeze, where like you kind of want to look back to an older time where movies could be terrible and we could all still kind of tolerate them.
All right, everyone, chill.
In many ways, Electro was in a modern film that should have known better and didn't, so I feel like Electro's terribly off the rails and every stage character is consistently worse than Mr. Freeze.
That's 1 for Electro. Jordan.
Agreed. The Arnold Schwarzenegger thing was bad, but he's giving a campy performance in a campy movie, so he's, acting correctly. Pretty memorable. I think we all still like to say, "Ice to see you" every now and then.
Ice to see you. We're able to laugh at the Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger one is at least fun. The Jamie Foxx one you roll your eyes at. So yeah, gonna go Jamie Foxx. That is that's a real garbage dump.
Electro beating out a tough competitor. Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze. Electro moving on. Whoo! All right. We have Sam Jackson's Octopus from The Spirit versus Galactus from 2007's Rise of the Silver Surfer. Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer. Joe Starr.
You know, I have never seen someone kill any of the goodwill he had from Sin City faster than Frank Miller trying to make The Spirit, and Sam Jackson was a big part of that. So I'm gonna go Sam.
1 for Sam Jackson. Sax Carr.
I have a huge problem with like giant cloud-based interpretations of big monsters. I think that is an easy out. That's like, hey, the CG guys can do this cheap. And so I have to go in that direction. I have to punish the people who make monsters into big clouds. Galactus gets my vote.
Oh, we are locked at 1-1.
Yeah, gonna go Galactus just because I saw it and it bummed me out. So
I can't argue with being bummed.
Boom. Galactus knocks off Sam Jackson. Ooh, this one's a doozy. Evil Peter Parker versus Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor.
2 garbage dumps here.
Yes.
But I will say at least the Peter Parker thing was done with a sense of fun. The Jesse Eisenberg thing I think is just bad and misguided through and through. Yeah, I'm gonna go Eisenberg.
1 for Jesse Eisenberg. Joe Starr.
I can only hate swing dancing so much. So I'm gonna go Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor makes it to our final 4. Can you believe it? Guy Pearce's Mandarin versus 2015 Doctor Doom.
You know, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go comic nerd purist. Guy Pearce's Mandarin is further from being the comic book Mandarin than Doctor Doom in the movie is from being Doctor Doom in the comics, although not by much. So Guy Pearce's Mandarin is worse.
1-0.
Again, didn't see that bad Fantastic Four, but from everything I've heard, it's a crap pile. So yeah, I think I am gonna go sight unseen. This bad Doctor Doom that I'm sure was bad.
We got it 1-1. We are locked at 1-1, Joe.
You know, sometimes when I close my eyes, I still see that terrible Doctor Doom. So I'm gonna give this to Doom.
Boom. Dr. Doom. Our final four is set, and what a dumpster fire it is. Electro versus Galactus.
I think I'm gonna go bad performance over bad CGI. Electro's moving on. Big Spidey fan, big Electro fan. Could have been great and wasn't.
Gotcha. Boom. That's one for Electro. Joe Starr.
You know, as much as I want to support Sax's cloud hate, don't you know my vote goes to Electro? I gotta give it to him.
Don't you know? I'm Electro.
Electro, aka Max Dillon, in the finals. Gentlemen, have there been two worse villains over the past 2 years than Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor versus Toby Kebbell's Doctor Doom?
You know, both of these are the worst thing. But Jesse Eisenberg had more opportunity to do the worst things than Doom did. And, you know, bring the YouTube comments, but I gotta go Jesse Eisenberg here. And I didn't want to. I really didn't want to.
All right, you're voting for the peach tea. Jesse Eisenberg. Jordan Morris.
Yeah, you know, he's an iconic villain. They boned it. Could have been great. Eisenberg's a great actor. This should have been amazing, and it just wasn't. Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg.
Jesse Eisenberg. All right.
The red capes are coming.
Gentlemen, the finals is set. Jamie Foxx's Electro, aka Max Dillon, versus Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, a match made in hell.
I have to say, like, I've also been surprisingly vocal about not enjoying Batman v Superman, whatever. Like, Lex Luthor is the part of that film that's so bad that it's very hard to explain why I'm just getting it wrong. Like, you're not sophisticated enough to understand why the peach tea scene is true cinematic brilliance. So yeah, it is definitely the worst thing ever. And even though Electro's terrible, it is definitely, yeah, Eisenberg all the way.
That's 1-0 for Jesse Eisenberg.
You know, these are two ticky, weird, big swing performances. The Jesse Eisenberg one is very weird, but I do think that maybe BVS gets an unfair amount of heat. It's a pretty cool movie with a lot to like about it. And the Electro thing is just so broad. Yeah, he looks like he's a guy who, the only nerd he's ever seen, he watched one episode of Big Bang Theory and just went crazy with it. Jamie Foxx is a handsome man that they just stuck glasses on and nothing else. I'm going to have to go Jamie Foxx as Electro, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Boom. We are locked at 1-1. Joe Starr, you have the deciding vote.
So I'm going a little meta. Okay. Which one of these villains killed their franchise more? DC, as we saw at Comic-Con, has a whole lot more movies coming.
Oh, yeah.
Sony was so wrecked by Electro, they had to agree to work with another corporation just to revitalize this franchise, and that's nuts to me.
Some say they were hacked by North Korea because of Electro.
So, and North Korea is the biggest villains of all, so by proxy, North Korea / Electro.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have crowned the worst cinematic comic book villain of all time, Jamie Foxx's Electro, aka Max Dillon. Gentlemen, give yourselves a round of applause. You watching at home, give yourselves a round of applause. And let us know, did you agree with our choice? Who did you think should have made it out of the early bracket round? Who is your worst comic book movie villain of all time? Tell us in the comments below. Oh, I gotta thank this panel of awesome dudes. Joe Starr, Jordan Morris, Sax Carr, thanks for being here. Thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye.
Hey, Screen Junkies. This Saturday, Movie Fights welcomes its most epic guest ever, Seth Rogen, for an almost too hot for the internet episode of R-rated Movie Fights. Be sure to come back this Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific to see Seth enter the Movie Fights arena. Will he emerge victorious? Tune in this weekend to find out. It's Movie Fights like you've never seen it before.